Alright guys, this is one big white example of why you never pay full price at an auction. This one, it kind of burns me a little bit, but we'll get into that. This is it's our latest auction purchase. We picked it up at a J.J. Kane auction. And I'm not going to throw the blame on them for what's wrong with it. It could be the company that brought it up there, what they told them. But I'll segue here into a couple videos that I took with my cell phone on our way back when we went to pick it up. And then we will get into what's wrong with the engine on this thing at minimum. Which I think is probably about the only thing really wrong with it, is it's got some major engine problems, but we'll get into that here in a minute. Alright guys, here we are. We're out here at a lot trying to pick up our bucket truck that we just purchased. It's out of a J.J. Kane auction. Got a good bit of trucks around here. This one's got a bit of an overheating problem, so hopefully we can clean out the radiator and get it back home. But we'll let you know and post some updates. Alright guys, we are on the road. We blew the radiator out real good. It did have a bunch of kind of like fuzz in it. It was low on coolant. This is an 05, so it's an EGR engine. So it may be dumping some coolant out of the EGR into the intake and maybe burning some coolant. So we're gonna have to watch that on the way home. And we'll just watch the temperatures. We got us a good cool day. It's about 66, a little bit of rain. So we're hoping even if she does tend to overheat, that'll help us. That's why we kind of picked this day. For a while, we thought the oil was a little bit high on the first pull on the dipstick, but I ended up getting underneath it. I popped the plug and just drained out a little bit of oil in my hand to make sure there's no water in the oil. And there wasn't. It was good oil, so we did our rest of our pre-checks and hit the road. So hopefully we can make it back 3 hours. So, all right, well, we just left to stop. I am soaking wet. I've been out in the rain. This thing overheated pretty quick going down the road. We had put some water in it. The tank looked like it was holding it before we left the lot. Put about a gallon in it, and it was just straight water. It was all we had right there on the lot. And got down the road. That thing overheated within 2 miles. And then there was nothing in the tank. So should have probably waited in the lot for it to open the thermostat and start cycling. So we stopped at a service station, limped it to a service station, got it going, and put about 5 gallons of antifreeze in it. Finally got it up. She's cycling now. She's running. We'll see how far we get. Alright guys, I'm going to try to keep this short, keep my talking to a minimum, because I know that it's boring to watch YouTube videos of just people talking. So, this is our truck. We purchased it. It's been sitting here about 2 weeks since we got it home. We've learned a little bit since then. We've learned that number 1 cylinder, I can put 2 gallons of coolant in it. 2 gallons will end up right in the oil pan. Number 1 cylinder seals are leaking. Seals, or maybe the liner has an issue with it that I can't see up past the piston. So something is going on there. So the oil pan, we're only holding the oil pan on about 2 bolts right now, just kind of keeping it in place, make sure no debris gets in there. But we've already pulled the pan. So when we got home, we pulled about 12 gallons of antifreeze / oil mixture out of it. Because on the way down, as we kept dumping antifreeze in it, we started to realize, wow, we're dumping in too much, that the cooler can't be burning all that much. And then once it quit raining and you could really see what the truck was doing out the exhaust without all the water spraying everywhere, it was pretty clear that thing wasn't burning it. It was, she puffs a little bit of smoke, but I believe that's just all your normal diesel operation. It doesn't puff white smoke, it's more of a bluish. Every once in a while on like a shift or something, I think it'll cloud just a slight amount, but granted, that's from my view of following the truck, and that was very, very seldom too. I don't know if it was doing something with the EGR or something going on there, but so for the most part, the truck did run good. I'm really disappointed in either the auction company or the previous owner, because they, as you can see, they said it overheats. Yeah, it overheats. That's because there's no coolant in it, and I'm pretty sure they knew there was no coolant in it, because when I got to the lot, after I pulled the stick and I smelled a little bit of a sweet smell on it, the first thing I did was pull the plug right there and let some oil run down into my hand, and a little bit got on the parking lot there because I didn't have a drain pan with me, but no water came out. It was oil, straight oil at the bottom of the pan. So either they had ran this thing prior to us getting there, which they didn't know when we were going because we didn't call them. They said they had set lot hours, so we just showed up in their lot hours. So I doubt it was the auction company did that. Pretty sure it's the owner took it up there with no antifreeze in it. And the reason I think they were dishonest is that it looks like it's got a pretty new oil cooler on it. Let's see if I can snake you guys. You probably can't see real good, but man, that is an oil cooler that has almost no rust on it, no grease on it, no nothing. The EGR cooler doesn't look too bad itself, so it looks like it's got new coolers on it. So I think they had a mechanic, whoever was probably just a part swapper, instead of really trying to diagnose the problem, because all it would have taken was draining the oil, pulling the pan, and seeing where the water was coming from. And that's what we did. So again, really disappointed, got lied to on that deal for sure. I mean, yes, overheating is one of the symptoms. That is just a very minor symptom of a much bigger problem. So this thing probably due for an overhaul. Let's see. And I don't know about you guys, but I do put stickers on stuff, or a note saying that it's got no oil in it. So it's got 82,000 miles on it. If it'll cycle through to hours. Not sure if it will or not. I think it's, can't remember how many hours it's got on it. I'm wanting to say about 13 or 12. Ah, there we go. Trip hours, PTO hours, mile per gallon. It's like about 14,400 hours, so that is a lot of hours. So she was probably due for an in-frame anyway. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of mileage on it, but it's definitely been operated a lot, so I do think I might try a little learning experiment here. Like I said, we drove 200 miles to get this thing. It would have been handy if I would have had been a little more prepared. We had tools and all kinds of stuff. We cleaned the radiator out. It was definitely, the radiator was definitely plugged up. It had definitely been out in fields and stuff working, so it had a bunch of debris in the radiator. We got blown out, and we were hoping that was the main culprit, because that's a typical failure mode on these overheating, is they'll sit there on the side of the road and they'll work the boom just fine. But when you get out on the road and you're pushing the engine harder, they'll overheat out on the road because the radiators are plugged up, because they've got a pretty small radiator in them. Or maybe the fan was bad. We were prepared to possibly change a fan too. We had our big fan tools to do that, but it turned out neither one of those were the issue. Those were both in good shape once we got the radiator blown out. So turned out to be a much more severe issue. So, again, that's why I don't understand people that pay near dealer price for things at auction, because you can't test this stuff out. I didn't go look at this one. I was relying specifically on what they said in the auction. And even if that's the thing, even if this was at a local auction, there's one about 40 minutes north of me that we go to in regular, and we were trying to find a truck there really, but and truthfully, if they've got one come up in the next auction, I might buy another one and just be prepared to get rid of this one as is. But even there, I can't leave the lot. So I mean, just driving around the lot, you can't really build any speed. You can't really load the engine up. It's really hard to tell if these things have significant issues just based on a lot drive around. So it really puzzles me as to why people will pay. I mean, I can go to a dealer. There's one up in Michigan. They're about 5 hours away, but they offer a bunch of trucks just like this. And some of them go upwards in the 30s, but a lot of them range of this height, 55 foot. And this vintage model, this is a 2005. Most of them tend to range around $20,000, $22,000. Why would you pay that much at auction for one? And I put I limited my bid to about $13,500 on this one. So, but somebody bid me right up there, and I was kind of surprised I got this one that cheap. I figured people were going to bid it higher. I really didn't plan on getting this one. I just kind of threw the bid out there of it'll probably fit our needs. We've got a lot of trees we're going to clean up. About 10 or 12 trees between me, my dad, my father-in-law, a couple neighbors. So we got a lot of tree work ahead of us. I really didn't want a project, but ended up with a project, so we're going to figure out something to do with it and let you guys know more about that coming up. And hopefully you see us up in the air doing some work. So hope you guys enjoy the video, learn a little bit, and catch you later.